Chapter 5 Goal Setting. If you're bored with life, you don't get up every morning with a burning desire to do things. You don't have enough goals. Lou Holtz, American football player, coach, Hall of Famer. I want to start this chapter with a brief story from the NBA Hall of Famer and billionaire Michael Jordan. Michael gave details on his approach to setting goals and the impact it had on his success in his book, I Can't Accept Not Trying, Michael Jordan on the Pursuit of Excellence. I approach everything step by step. I had always set short-term goals. As I look back, each one of these steps or successes led to the next one. When I got cut from the varsity team as a sophomore in high school, I learned something. I knew I never wanted to feel that bad again, so I set a goal of becoming a starter on the varsity. That's what I focused on all summer. When I worked on my game, that's what I thought about. When it happened, I set another goal, a reasonable, manageable goal that I could realistically achieve if I worked hard enough. Take those small steps. Otherwise, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of frustration. Where would your confidence come from if the only measure of success was becoming a doctor? If you tried as hard as you could and didn't become a doctor, would that mean your whole life was a failure? Of course not. All those steps are like pieces of a puzzle. They all come together to form a picture. Not everyone is going to be the greatest, but you can still be considered a success. Step by step, I can't see any other way of accomplishing anything. If you equate the principle of building a new house, then goal setting is equivalent to the blueprints for the house. The blueprint lays out the interior space plan, sets a budget, and lays out the home's complete structure from the foundation to the interior room layout. Your goals lay out those objectives you set out to accomplish for your life, business, and real estate investing decisions. However, many people go through life feeling lost or adrift and never really see any substantial progress toward their dreams. This helpless feeling is caused by not spending the necessary time to think about what they want out of life and formulating them into specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound SMART goals. As a real estate investor, goal setting is extremely important to focus on those specific objectives necessary to meet your long-term passive income goals. I'll share with you the story of Spencer Hilligos, who set strategic goals to leave his lucrative corporate job to become a full-time multifamily real estate investor. Goal setting to leave corporate America. Spencer was a 13-year career technology leader in multiple software companies, with 3 of them considered unicorns with $1 billion valuation and up. He built a $4 billion loan organization group at Lending Home, the #1 fix and flip lender in the country. However, he was just a little bit of a round peg in a square hole in the businesses as he grew up in a real estate brokerage household where his dad was a broker for 30 years. Spencer would help him with open houses when he was as young as 13 years old, but he didn't initially see himself working in the real estate space. However, as Spencer advanced in his corporate career and sometimes worked 8+ hours a week, he found himself looking back on his family and wanting to spend more time with those he cared most about. For him to be able to spend more time with his family, he set some strategic goals along the way. We set a big goal of being financially free in 15 years, and we set that goal now 6 years ago, I think. give or take a few quarters, roughly. However, we decided after we put down the numbers on paper that was just too long. We chopped it down to 7 years, and we said, let's go figure out how to get completely financially free. And I'm talking about fully passive, no active income whatsoever. It will cover a comfortable lifestyle, including family fun and entertainment. We don't want to buy a jet, as I have no interest in that. But I want to be able to be a great dad and be a great present husband. So, the goal setting is key. It gets a lot of playtime for everyone out there who has already achieved success. And that's for a very good reason. Nothing else should be happening before the goal setting is complete, and you should be able to break down that goal. Spencer was able to break down their goals from 1 year to a quarter to a month down to daily goals. Aligning your daily actions with your goals is critical to holding yourself accountable and reaching your success. You must have a plan and goals to get you where you want to be in life, and it won't always be easy and pretty. Spencer continued sharing his story and the first goal-setting session that Jennifer and he had throughout a full weekend. There were tears, there was laughing, and there was reconciliation there. It was real. And if you're not goal-setting, I'm not saying you must get into fights over it. It just means that if you're not having honest conversations about your integrated, full-picture goals with your spouse or your fiancé or your better half, you're missing the mark. There's one set of goals integrated for life. They are not your professional goals and your personal goals. They are your life goals. So many times in life, we act and boom, we experience a setback or a small failure. In these times, we must return to our passion or our why, so we don't completely stop and let adversity defeat us. Mike Tyson had a phenomenal quote about perseverance. He said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." We all have plans and goals, but life happens. In the Air Force, we say, it's great to have a plan, but the enemy gets a vote. In these moments, I love to point back to my faith. If the Lord has kept me and I brought me through all the situations, setbacks, storms, and hurdles I have faced to date, why would I lose hope now? It's imperative for us to be unwavering in our chase for our goals and create financial freedom. Our goals serve as a long-term vision and short-term motivation as we execute. In the Air Force, we call goals our objectives that we need to meet to accomplish our mission. We start at the higher, strategic level to understand what success looks like. We further decompose those objectives to mid-tier operational level objectives bound in scenarios or actual operations. The last level resides at the tactical level. Here, tactical level objectives are the tasks we need to complete to accomplish our operational level objectives. Once we define what success in life means to us, our mission is set. From there, we decompose our strategic goals down to daily executable tasks. SMART goals. George Duran wrote a great article back in 1981 detailing how corporate managers can write effective, SMART goals for the organization. S stands for specific. Our goals must be specific, and it requires you to state what exactly you want to do. You must include action words. M stands for measurable. Having the ability to evaluate and analyze progress is critical to your success. As you execute, you will gain priceless experience on what works and what doesn't work, thus driving course corrections. A former commander of mine told me early in my Air Force career, "You can't change what you can't measure." Make sure you use metrics or data targets so your goal is quantifiable. A represents achievable. Your goals need to be realistic and within your ability. You don't want to set manageable goals that don't stretch you, nor do you want to set goals that set you up for failure due to a lack of expertise or time needed to accomplish it. R stands for relevant, ensuring it's in alignment with your business and fits into your overall life's mission and strategy. Your goals should pass the "so what" test. T stands for time-bound, or when you plan to get it done. You can't leave your goals open-ended. They need to be phased across a certain amount of time, whether daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. You must ensure that you make a date or time frame specific. The power of goal setting isn't just a cliche or something that hasn't been proven. There is a wealth of scientific research on the benefits achieved from goal setting, such as its direct link to achieving success. Furthermore, research has shown that those individuals who write their goals down are 33% more successful than those who choose to only formulate their goals inside of their minds. The study showed that individuals who set goals and sent weekly progress reports to friends were able to accomplish significantly more than those who did not. I have personally seen this in one of my mastermind groups, where we hold one another accountable weekly. We share weekly, intermediate, and long-term goals to measure progress and provide feedback, advice, whenever a fellow member runs into challenges along the way versus them approaching it alone. The author of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, defined masterminds as the coordination of knowledge and effort of two or more people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. Retirement Execution Plan. I relocated to a new duty station in late 2020, and one of my former non-commissioned officers who worked for me at my last unit reached out to me on Facebook to get some time on my calendar. Our conversation was a typical conversation I have with investors looking to scale their portfolios. This is one of the reasons why I decided to launch my real estate investing YouTube channel at the beginning of 2021. One of the most rewarding parts of it has been the 30-minute strategy sessions I have to help new investors set up their strategic real estate investing plan to accelerate their journey. We started the conversation by catching up on how the families had been doing and how busy things were back at my old unit. From there, we transitioned into his real estate plans. He wasn't new to real estate. He had 2 rental properties he managed in Alaska while living in Florida, where he planned to retire. One of the houses cash flowed exceptionally well, and the other barely broke even and had a lot of capital expenditures or major systems that were nearing the end of life, such as the roof and HVAC system. He decided to sell the latter and capture his equity built up over the years to ramp up his investments in the local Panama City, Florida market. His question to me was, "How do I get started?" I responded with a question to identify what he wanted his portfolio to look like at retirement. He needed roughly $4,500 a month in passive income, and he was planning to retire in 3 years. Armed with that information, I knew the average rental in Panama City market would easily cash flow around $400 a month. Using this cash flow, he will need to purchase roughly 11 houses over the next 3 years, which breaks down to 4 houses a year or 1 house every quarter. From there, we jumped into the execution phase of my single-family investing course. We discussed how to go about finding and buying a house once a quarter and implementing the proper strategy to get him to his 3-year goal. It's just that simple. He walked away with a bulletproof plan to obtain his goal. The only remaining piece is the consistent execution to see the plan through. Goal setting isn't a new fad or strategy that recently arose in society. Actor, comedian, and TV show host Steve Harvey gave a motivational speech after one of his shows discussing just this. The topic was how to become successful in life, and he shared an essential principle to finding success. Steve spoke to the audience in a very excited yet serious tone. People don't have what they want because they don't have it written down. It's a vital piece to success. It's a principle of success that every wealthy person knows. I don't know anybody wealthy that doesn't have a vision board. I don't know anybody wealthy that doesn't have any stuff written on a piece of paper. I know a lot of people who are doing well. We have discussed at great lengths. They showed me some of their vision boards, and I said, wow, I need to go back and change mine. If you do not have it written down, your chances of having it are reduced drastically. It's a principle of success that you have to have everything you want written. It's in the Bible. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 says, write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, that means it takes a long time. Wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. I dare you to try it. If you can think it, you can achieve it. That's not a theory. It's a habit of all successful people. I agree 100%. I remember when I first realized the power of writing my goals down as if it were yesterday. Goal setting from the other side of the world. I originally never knew the power of visualizing and writing down your goals to manifest them. I officially started to keep a journal and write down my goals during a 6-month deployment to Kuwait from March to September 2018. I was doing a lot of professional enrichment, from reading multiple books to working to set up my real estate business for success once I returned home. I would write down my goals and dreams for my life, family, and my business every morning upon waking. I would write down my goal to be the best Christian husband, father, brother, son, and friend that I could be. I wanted to be the best investor home buyer in Panama City, Florida, help 10 families sell a property, make $100,000 in profit, and create $10,000 in passive income in the next year. I wrote down my goals daily and became fully committed to making them happen. I wrote them down and went to work. Being deployed in a support role provides so much time to focus on building a better you, whether physically or mentally, due to the amount of downtime in between shifts. Every morning, I would wake up, write down my goals, walk outside to the shower trailer, get dressed, and head into the office to work on my day job. I was a deputy chef, cyber operations for Inherent Resolve by day and entrepreneur by night. Although I was thousands of miles around the world, I was still in acquisition mode while mailing flyers to absentee homeowners, cold calling, and working on my website for motivated sellers. By the time I finished work, hit the gym, and ate dinner, everything in the US was just getting started. I would be working in the computer lab to build out my website or make cold calls outside the recreation center while sitting at a picnic table. It wasn't uncommon for me to work up until midnight local time. We were able to complete a couple of wholesale transactions early on while I was deployed. However, I didn't have a partner at home to facilitate my real estate transactions since my wife was pregnant and taking care of 2 kids. So, in the second half of my deployment, I focused on implementation once I returned home, charting out processes, new trends, and crafting an overall marketing strategy for success. Steve said during his story earlier, sometimes your vision may take longer than you think. I can attest to this as I was motivated and ready to execute once I returned home to Florida. However, my plan was hastily set back less than a month upon my return by the natural disaster caused by Hurricane Michael. We evacuated 2 days before the storm hit Panama City, Florida, with our 3rd child being born 5 days later in Mobile, Alabama. The next 6 months would have our family moving from short-term rental to short-term rental from Destin, Florida to Panama City, Florida to Rosemary Beach before moving back into our remodeled home in March 2019. It was tough with the long days and long commutes. I was director of operations for a test and evaluation unit with about 70 airmen whose families and homes had been impacted just as my family. Many who lost their homes left on humanitarian assignments since there was little to no housing inventory in the local area. Despite all the personal and logistical challenges we faced, we were able to bring our mission back online in only 55 days, and we were starting to normalize the rebuilding process for the base. Initially, I thought the 150 miles per hour hurricane winds that shredded our local community was an enormous setback. However, it was a setup for everything I had previously been writing down in my journal that I wanted. I recall listening to Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip-hop preacher, discuss how his business was created during the 2008 financial crisis. It's uncomfortable as hell going through adversity and walking through the valleys of life. Thankfully, every challenge and situation only presents an opportunity if you have prepared yourself for the moment and have the vision to recognize it. We had thousands of damaged homes and families in need in our community, and we were prepared to assist in rebuilding homes for families to live in, but assisting in rebuilding their lives too. In 2019, we completed 9 real estate transactions and made well over $100,000 in profit, helped 16 families, added 5 rentals to our portfolio, and made a lasting impact in our community that continues to this day. I'm living proof that writing your goals down daily will pay off. Goals to graduate. I want to share with you a story of a close friend, dear friend of mine, Roderick Robinson. We grew up together and played high school basketball together. We were all in the same circle of friends, and after graduation, the majority either went to the University of Alabama or the other school close to the Alabama-Georgia border. Upon him departing for college and going off on his own, he didn't do so well. His transition wasn't seamless and took a detour from the traditional path. It was more of a culture shock for him. He had access to things he'd never had access to before. If you knew where we grew up, you would know going to college was like being in a new country. He tried to make both school and his personal life work for so long, but he continuously failed to find that proper balance. After more than 5 years in college, his financial circumstances changed, and he was forced to work full-time to pay bills and keep his head above water. This was when he hit rock bottom, and it seemed as if he wasn't going to make it. He recounted one time during this period when he was homeless. He didn't have a place of his own. He told me, "A lot of times I slept in my car. I was too prideful to let anyone know I didn't have anywhere to stay. I was working at Walmart Distribution Center, and I was going to work at 4 o'clock in the evening, getting off at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would drive 30 minutes back towards campus, sleep, and be back in class at 8 o'clock until 2:45 p.m., and off to work to do it all over again." And over those months and years of failures and setbacks, and never really setting any goals to hold himself accountable, he developed learned helplessness. Webster defines learned helplessness as a condition in which a person suffers from a sense of powerlessness arising from a persistent failure to succeed. During our conversation, he exclaimed, "I felt like I couldn't make both things work. Although I hadn't succeeded, I was more mature about life in general and making better decisions, but I felt like I just could not graduate. I don't know if you know it, but it was well after all of you graduated. And I was married, and my daughter was born before I obtained my bachelor's degree from Auburn University. It did not happen until I broke the curse of helplessness and set goals for myself." For him, it was becoming more accountable to both himself and others in his circle to give him the motivation to figure out a plan he could execute to set him up for success. Accountability is so critical to becoming self-aware of everything present in your life. Webster defines accountability as an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions. It doesn't have to be elaborate or a formal mastermind. It can be as simple as having conversations regularly with your spouse or significant other, a group of close friends, or coworkers. I have seen religious organizations have groups or forums set up to bring people together around certain causes to assist them in setting goals to break through the obstacles in their lives. However, regardless of how you bring it all together, the common denominator starts with you. You can't pick and choose when and where you want to be accountable, because at the end of the day, accountability is a critical component in the difference between success and failure. Accountability isn't a one-time thing. It's an all-time thing that goes hand in hand with measuring progress en route to accomplishing our goals. Those who are accountable look for solutions to challenges and setbacks and never accept failure. Today, my friend Rod continues to set the bar high and strive for success. He has established himself as a leader in logistics and operations management and currently works as high-level area manager at a top Fortune 500 company. Implementation. Goal setting is a critical foundation to obtain success in real estate investing. I shared the goal-setting perspective of Michael Jordan and how he leveraged goal setting to achieve his greatness. Have you fully defined your real estate goals for the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years? It's never too late to get back on track to set yourself up for long-term success. Spencer's story was truly inspirational as he laid out how he set goals to transition away from his 6-figure corporate job into multifamily investing. Also, I shared the brief story of how I walked one of my former coworkers through how to set his short-term and intermediate real estate goals to generate enough passive income for retirement. Lastly, I shared the motivating story of my friend Rod and how he had to set goals to graduate from college. At this point, it should be clear that setting goals is extremely important to reach success in life. However, don't forget those goals need to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Leveraging this principle will ensure you never lose sight of your daily actions and how they integrate into your long-term goals for success. For those who haven't set their goals, I have shared a part of my goal-setting framework used by my new real estate investor mentees to help define their goals. Real estate goal exercise. Take a few minutes to write your short-term real estate goals that you want to accomplish in the next year. Circle your top 2 goals and number them in order of priority. Next, take a few minutes to write your long-term real estate goals that you want to accomplish in the next 5 to 10 years. Circle your top 2 goals and number them in order of priority. Real estate action plan. For each one of your goals, walk through the next sequence to create an executable action plan. What steps do I need to take to achieve this goal? How much time will it take? What obstacles could get in the way of me achieving these goals? What reward or value will I receive from accomplishing this goal?